Hi guys, Laura here. I'm here today to start a new reading vlog. It is officially March 30th, and I am listening to 2 books and reading one. So this is a carryover from the last reading vlog. I'm still in the middle of reading Keeper of the Lost Cities Flashback, and I'm on page 635, and this book ends at 800, I think. So I've got 200 more pages left. This book is finally getting some action in it. It's been a very, very slow-paced book. I said this in like a previous reading vlog. It's very much like book 6 of Harry Potter. There was like a lot of information, but there wasn't a lot of like action. Now we're getting some action. I'm also listening to Scarlet, which is the second Lumiere Chronicles books. I forgot how much other characters are in that book. I really remember not liking it as much because wasn't always as captivated by Scarlet's point storyline in and in herself, but I'm really loving Cinder and Thorne's relationship. So I'm liking that, and I'm also listening to Ghost of the Shadow Market when I can venture outside. So I am going to go back to reading. I really would love to tackle this book tonight. I don't have a lot to do. I did a bunch of my prepping for work. For those that don't know, this is going to be the going thing for the next couple of weeks. I am working from home, so I do teach from like 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the evening. But it's about 4:30. I'm going to go get some dinner, and then I'm probably going to go to a virtual yoga class later in the evening. I also did watch Lock and Key yesterday, which was so exciting. I really, really want to watch another episode. But yeah, that's my plan of attack right now, and I'll update you guys probably when I get up to page maybe like 650. We'll see if anything has changed. I'm really, really close to it, but it might be page 700. Bye, guys. I'm back. It's about 6 o'clock, and I am heading to my yoga class in about a half an hour. But I did get up to page 696 in Keeper of the Lost Cities. This book is getting really, really good. There's been a lot of drama with the Alicorns, and now the book structure has changed, and the structure has changed dramatically. Like, it went from one half of the book being one thing to like now being a totally other thing. It's getting back to normal Keeper of the Lost City life, which I'm liking. And some of the elements I've been waiting for all book are starting to happen, so I'm curious to see how that goes. Yeah, I'm just curious. I would say I have about a little bit over 100 pages left. I'm gonna make a chance of getting it done tonight. I don't know. I have to my yoga class, and I do have a lot of longer YouTube videos to watch, so that's good for background noise. So I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. It's about 8 o'clock, and I did wind up getting up to page 738 in Keeper of the Lost Cities Flashback. We are right about to hit the climax of this book for sure. I am so curious to see how this book goes in. They always give you like a teaser at the start of the book that kind of preps you for the ending. I'm really curious to see how it ends. I'm really curious to see if all their planning works or it doesn't work. I'm really curious to see what's revealed. I'm really curious to see how the term flashback clicks. I think I have a prediction, but I'm curious to see if I'm going to be right. So I'm going to hopefully dive in and finish the rest of this book tonight because I really want to know what happens. And once you get to the climax, you just kind of have to finish it. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll come in when I feel like I have something to say that's not too spoilerly. Bye, guys. Hey guys, Lori here. I'm back. It's actually March 31st, which means it's the tail end of March. And last night I did wind up finishing Flashback by Shanna Messenger, which is the 7th book in the Keeper of the Lost City series. I will admit this was not my favorite book in this series. I talked about this a little bit in my wrap up, but I feel like it's going to be a very important book going forward. Like, I think book 8 will probably rely on this, and the subsequent books in the series will really rely on it. For a very, very long book, I felt like the end was actually surprisingly rushed. But I did enjoy it. I thought the end was kind of surprising. I said this before, I always fall for the wrong ship. So the ship that took flight in this book wasn't my ship, and I'm curious to see if it's gonna continue or if it's gonna kind of go a different direction, which is kind of what I'm hoping it might do. But the ending was a little bit surprising. There was one thing I was really expecting to happen in this book that we didn't really get. Like, I thought the title flashback meant something, and it really didn't. We just got hints of it. If you would have asked me at the start of this book or the start of the series what I thought the book flashback would be about, I would have had a totally different I would have had a totally different thought process. But I liked it. I didn't love it. I think that the books were. The one thing I will always love about this book series. I will always love the world building that we get because I think it's so rich, so amazing, so captivating. So I would probably giving this one like 4 stars. Honestly, it wasn't my favorite in the series, but I will admit that Legacy did get bumped up on my TBR. I did say in a previous clip that I am listening to Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, and I actually got like 11 chapters in, and I like just decided to restart it. Not because I like wasn't enjoying it, I really was enjoying it, but I really felt like I just was not really listening when I was doing it because I'm doing it when I'm doing my schoolwork. Like I just put it on as background noise. So I restarted it, and I feel like that's like a better decision. I'm also on story. I'm also on story 4, I think, or story 3 in Keep The Ghost of the Shadow Market. And this one follows Jem, and Tessa in 1940s, like in World War II, and I'm really, really liking that. I have about 44 minutes left in that, and I am gonna go for a walk in a little bit. And I am actually going to be doing a buddy read with a friend of mine. So we are going to read Super Adjacent by Crystal Ciceri. I actually love her Windy City Magic series. I still do actually need to read the last book in that series. I don't know what this book's about. I know it involves superheroes. I know it involves is dating a superhero. Is dating a superhero hard? Yeah, it's not. Says like the tagline, and I've read literally like 22 pages in it, so I don't really know much about it. But this is gonna be my buddy read that I'm gonna read with my friend, and I have to get up to page I think I have to get up to page like 80 today. And for a book that I'm also want to start reading, it's The Secret Runners by Matthew Riley. This is a book that I got from ALA, and this book comes out in August. But when I tell you the plot summary, I'm like, why are you reading this now? But it's set in New York City, and I really do I do miss New York City. I haven't been there in like close to like 2 weeks, and I miss it. I work in the city, and I just am not able to get there, obviously, due to reasons. Um, but it also involves twins, which is a very, very big selling point for me. It involves a global apocalypse. There's like a secret society. I think there might be some time travel involved. So I am going to focus my mind on this first, but when I finish those 80 pages, I'm definitely going to move on to this. So that's going to be kind of my reading plans for today once I'm done with work. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm reading right now. This book I think is currently out, and this book comes out in August. So if you want to get like a super fun read, I would definitely pick up this one. And also, if you really are looking for kind of a quiet, fun magic series, I would definitely check out the Windy City Magic series. The first book I think is called I can't remember. I'll have to like look up the title for you guys. But if you look it up, it's I think right now I think it's a 3-book series. I don't know if they're gonna continue more. But so that's my reading plans right now. I am gonna go for a walk in a little bit and just kind of like go into the world and kind of just like be outside. I have a hard time staying cooped up in my house all the time, so I'm just trying to like find ways to do it safely. But yeah, so that's kind of my plan. I'm gonna come back, read 80 pages of this, and then dive into The Secret Runners. I also do want to watch some TV tonight, some shows. I really focused yesterday on sorry, my phone keeps going off because I'm technically still on the clock. But I want to also catch up on a couple of shows that I've fallen really, really far behind on. But when I come back from my walk, I will check in with you guys. Bye. Guys, Lori here. I'm back. I did take my walk, and I did wind up listening to the end of the Ghost of the Shadow Market book. So I was able to complete one story, and I started listening to a podcast which I really have not been listening to, and I blame it on the podcast that I listened to that kind of like evaporated. Like all the podcasts I listened to like have not been putting out episodes, so it's been kind of hard, and especially with like this time of the lives we're in, I really have been missed like the talking and the discussion. So I've mentioned this podcast a lot because I'm currently up to date with it. But Rewatchable does a lot of like rewatching, and they like have like super fans and non-super fans, and that's kind of the structure of it. And there's some rounds I just never wound up watching. And honestly, now that like I have so much work time and I would prefer to listen to podcasts, I'm gonna try to just binge watch a couple of the shows that I really didn't watch. I'm in the middle of watching Pushing Daisies, which I'm a newbie for. I'm in the middle of watching Agent Carter, and I'm about to watch Pitch. So those are kind of the three that I'm going to kind of devote a little bit of time to this week. But yeah, that's my plan right now. I also do want to start Super Adjacent by Crystal Cesari. I'm literally like 4 pages into this book. So I am going to put that on, and I'm going to watch the season finale of The Good Doctor, which I have been waiting for. I'm really excited about that. And yeah, so that's my plan right now, and I will update you guys when I make a little bit of progress on Super Adjacent. My goal is 80 pages. I'm sure I will be able to finish that tonight. It's only like 3:40, which is nice, but I'm going to go read, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. I'm back. It's about 5 o'clock, and I did read a chapter in Super Adjacent, so I'm now on page 18. This is a dual perspective novel following 2 different characters, but basically the only point of view I've read so far is about a girl named Claire. She lives in a society where superheroes are very, very popular. She is not a superhero, but she's on a quest to to work as an intern for the superheroes, and she has finally potentially gotten her dream job, and this is kind of following her. And then I think the other perspective is a superhero, and I don't know much else about it. I really don't want to read the back because I don't want to know too much, but this is it kind of reminds me of the TV show with Vanessa Hudgens. I can't think of the name of it, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of that, but I'm actually really, really liking it. So I'm gonna dive back into chapter 2 and give you guys my thoughts when I read about Bridget. So who is the next point of view that I'm gonna read? Bye guys. I'm just checking back in. I did wind up getting up to page 38 in Super Adjacent by Crystal Cesari. I'm really liking this book. So basically it follows these 2 characters. It follows Claire and Bridget. The society has superheroes. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Renegade Society, but a little bit different. But basically, Claire's goal is to work for the superheroes. She wants to be considered for this high-profile internship that she really wants to get, and that's her lifelong dream. And then you have Bridget, who is the girlfriend of a superhero, and she is kind of the opposite. Her boyfriend doesn't pay any attention to her. She really has one goal, that she wants to be an art student, but her boyfriend's life keeps getting in the way of her life. And she's kind of at her wit's end. And then at the end of every chapter, you have an element that kind of expands the world. The first one was all the characters, and then you have some social media elements. I'm really curious to see where this goes. It's just a fun read. I really like both characters. I love the world. The world is super fun. And that's the one thing I really do like about this author's writing. She writes such fun worlds that are really easy to follow. And I really do like superhero stuff. I watch all the DC shows. I love Marvel, so I like to see books set in this world. It's really, really fun. So I'm going to go take a quick shower, and then I'm probably going to bang out the last couple of chapters, and then I'm going to move on to my next read, because I'm doing this as a buddy read with my friend Jen. But I'll be back when I read a little bit more. Bye, guys. Hey guys, Laurie here. I'm back. It's about 7:11, and I did get up to page 56 in Super Adjacent. This book is super fun. I definitely am reminiscent of her world building. I think she crafts a very fun but also easy to follow world. This world is full of superheroes, and the 2 characters you're following, one, her name is Claire, and she has been recruited as an intern that is supposed to be involved in the day-to-day life of the superheroes, and she's kind of on the outside looking in, but she has always been really obsessed with superheroes. It's kind of her obsession, so this is her dream job. And then the other point of view you follow is a girl named Brigitte, and she is dating a superhero, and she's kind of over his dramatics. She's kind of over playing second fiddle. And I assume their paths cross at some point, but right now it's just literally 56 pages into this book. I'm really enjoying it. It's such a fun and easy and lighthearted read. And I normally love superheroes, so I'm going to keep reading, and I'm probably going to read page 80 tonight and then check in with my friend and see what she wants to do. But I'm really enjoying it, and I'm also watching Good Trouble on Hulu, which I have fallen a little bit behind on, so hopefully I'll be able to catch up on those episodes as well. The thing I don't like about Hulu is the commercial breaks are not as long as everything else that I watch, so I have less reading time, but that is okay. So yeah, I'm going to go finish watching Good Trouble, or keep watching Good Trouble, and I'm going to go keep reading. I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Laurie here. I'm just checking back in. It's 8 o'clock, and I did wind up reading to page 80 in Super Adjacent. I am reading this with my friend, and we did decide to stop reading for the evening, but we did chat a little bit, and I really, really like that. I hope we get to do that a little bit more. I definitely have a lot more time now to call her and speak to her on the phone now that I'm not going back and forth so much to my job. But I really like this. I've said this before. I really thoroughly enjoy Crystal Cesari's like world building. I think it's super fun. I love superheroes as like a backdrop. I love how we have two very different characters. I think you have Claire, who's kind of learning her way in the superhero world, and Bridget, who's kind of already deep in the world but is not that fond of it. So I'm curious to see how these characters are going to cross paths in the subsequent books, or as this book goes on. I'm curious to see what the problem is that they're working towards. So tomorrow we're going to hopefully get up to page like 148 and kind of get to the crux of this read, which I'm super excited about. But I am going to pick up The Secret Runners, as I said previously, by Matthew Riley. I don't know much about this book. It does come out in August. It's going to be like a little bit of a thriller. I know it has twins. It kind of deals with like a global apocalypse, which I don't know what that means, but we're kind of dealing with one right now in our own lives. So I thought this would be kind of fun. And as I said in previous clips, I really do miss New York. So I'm going to go dive into this, watch the end of Good Trouble, and then watch some of my YouTube videos. But yeah, so that's kind of my plan of attack. And when I make a little bit of progress on this, I'll definitely update you guys because I really don't know much about it. I know that it has twins, and that's really about it. But I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Hey, Slurry here. It's about to be 9 o'clock. It's like 8:50, and I wanted to do a quick, brief summary of The Secret Runners. So far, I've only read like 18 pages, but it follows two characters, Sky and her twin brother Red, and they have moved to New York, and it's in like the time period. It's like in current day New York, but there's basically like an apocalypse. Like they're like, you know how we had Y2K. They kind of have a very similar thing happening. But the book starts off jumped in another location with another character that's really intriguing me. So I'm curious to see like if there's some time travel happening. I really don't know, but I really do like the twin dynamics. I like that they're in New York City, a place that I'm super familiar with. I have a feeling that this is going to be like a mystery or a thriller with some, maybe like some I don't know, like some supernatural elements maybe, but I'm really liking it. It's very, very fast paced. I don't want to put it down, which is good. But I don't know much about it. I know that it follows two characters, and there's talk of a secret society and maybe some time travel. So I'm going to keep reading, and when I actually know what's happening, I will let you guys know. Bye. Hey guys, Lori here. I'm just checking back in. I'm just going to go watch some Netflix, but I wanted to say that I did get up to page 32 in The Secret Runners by Matthew Riley. This is definitely a thriller. It's definitely a doomsday thriller, which is probably not the best book to be reading right now, but I really miss New York, and it is set in New York City. But you basically follow these two characters. They move to New York, and they are also in the path of a doomsday event. Like they think the world's going to end on St. Patrick's Day. They're going to a new school. They're kind of tackling the hierarchy of living in New York City and at this new prestigious school. And the book started out with like an element that kind of ties in. There's girls that go missing in this school every year, always the new girl, and Sky is the new girl, so you kind of get her attention. But I really like her snarky wit. I think her snarky wit about this book is super fun. Like just like the way it's written is super fun and super captivating and super hard to put down. I'm also a big fan of like when chapters have titles. I think that it's a nice way to like kind of set the book up for success and just like warn you what's coming. But I'm really liking it. I read about 32 pages and I read about 80 pages today from Super Adjacent. So pretty good reading day, but I'm gonna head to relaxing, kind of turn off my brain for a bit. But when I come on tomorrow, I hopefully will have read a little bit by the time I see you guys. So that's my plan. But I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hi guys, Laurie here. I'm back. It's about 4:30. I just finished eating dinner, and I'm going to dive back into a Super Adjacent by Crystal Cesari. I actually wound up reading a little bit this morning, so now I'm on page 96, and I have to get up to page 148, which I think is definitely doable. I'm really enjoying this book. I think it's just a super fun, light fantasy read. And but I'm really, really liking it, and I hope to make it my page count so I can talk to my friend and then move on to my other book I'm in the middle of reading. But this is a super fun read that's really, really captivating that I'm also really enjoying. It's also April 1st, so I would love to tackle more of my reading today. I also didn't really listen to any audiobooks today. I kind of took an audiobook break. I find it easier when I'm working to listen to people talking, but not like narrative stories unless like I'm able to like pay attention to it. So I'm going to try to listen to a few more podcasts during the workday and listen to audiobooks as like lesser time. But I still will be listening to audiobooks. I just didn't listen to audiobooks today. And it just depends on if I get to watch it up TV tonight to have episodes to listen to tomorrow. But I am going to go read Super Adjacent. I also have a late night yoga class that I'm going to head to at like 7:45. So by 7:45, I hope to be finished with those pages. I hope to be. But I'm going to go watch a longer true crime video as like background noise. And then when I come back from that, I will update you guys on Super Adjacent. Talk to you guys in a bit. Hey, Larry here, I'm back. It's about 6:15, and I did read my pages in Super Adjacent that I'm reading with my friend Jen, which she blogs and has an Instagram called Bella's Fairy Tale. I'll try to link her in the description if I remember during this vlog. But I am really, really enjoying this book. I think it's just super fun. Basically, the one thing I like about this book is we have two very, very different characters. We have Claire, who's kind of obsessed with the superhero world, and Bridget, who's kind of been stuck in this world for a while. So I like their divergent perspectives. I also really like the LGBTQ focus of this, because you have one relationship that is LGBTQ, one that is not, and I think that both girl main characters that you get really have such opposition, so the world gets super fleshed out. I also like the elements at the end of each chapter, may it be like a transcript or like an IM conversation that also really fleshes out the world. I also like that the threat has been revealed, like the rival gang in this I think is really interesting. And it's just a super fun read. So I am about 50% done with this book. We're going to read 5 more chapters tomorrow, but that's what we'll do tomorrow. And then I'm going to dive right now back into The Secret Runners by Matthew Reilly, which yesterday I read like 32 pages. I'm going to hope to read a little bit more today. I really like the start of this. It's like a very like fast-paced adventure story, but we're not really to the adventure part, but it's basically set in like an apocalypse. There's like an apocalypse coming, everyone thinks, or like a life-threatening event is coming, and they're all kind of waiting in that. But you have two characters that are kind of being thrust into a new world, and that's kind of where we are in the first 30 pages of this. So I'm going to dive back into this read and let you guys know my thoughts when I get up to page maybe like 50 and let you guys know my thoughts. So back to reading I go. Bye, guys. Sorry, the lighting's a little bit awkward, but I'm being a little bit lazy. But I did wind up getting up to page 70 in The Secret Runners, and I'm like literally just finished part 1. Part 1 is a very like foundational part of the book, and now we're actually going to learn what the Secret Runners are. I have a hint. I'm being curious to see if I'm right. I will admit this writing style is super simplistic. I know that Matthew Reilly does write adult books, so it does read like a James Patterson. It's not like flowy language. It's very, very simplistic. It's a very, very snarky narrative. I do like Skye as the main character. I do like it's set in New York City. I do like the upper crust lifestyle that they're feeding. I like the side characters that we're learning about. But I'm really curious to know what the Secret Runners are, and that's going to be next, and I will read that tomorrow. I am going to go and finish watching what I'm watching, and then I'm probably going to dive into some of my shows that I've been putting off. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow for another update. Bye, guys. Hey, Larry here. I'm back. It's 3:27 on April 2nd, and I am in the middle of still reading Super Adjacent by Crystal Cicere. Have to admit, I have read a lot of books in my life. This title is the most creative title that actually makes sense to the novel in both like a literal way, but also in like a metaphorical way. Like I really love this title. I also really like this cover. This is the arc. The real cover I think is purple. But I'm really liking this. I think that this is such a clever take on superheroes, and it's kind of a nice balance from like the calm superhero movies, like the lighthearted ones, to like the more serious ones. I think it's like a nice balance. I also love the LGBTQ representation. I love the dual characters. I think it's really, really interesting. I think I prefer Brigitte as a character a little bit more. I know my friend Jen does too. But I do like both romances. I think they're so interesting and so fascinating. And I'm really curious to see where the story goes. Right now I'm on page 163. I have to get to page 212 by the end of tonight to talk it over with my friend. But I am also going to go work out. I'm in the middle of listening to a podcast for Agent Carter, which I have fallen woefully behind on this podcast. It's called Rewatchable. But I do like listening to podcasts during my workday and YouTube videos actually, because it's more background noisy and less focused on a story. So I'm going to go dive in and do one of my workouts. It was a little bit more windy than I would like. This is week 2 of quarantine for me, like official quarantine that I like have literally not been leaving my house other than walking. So it's the only positive thing is I am getting a lot of TV shows watched and I am getting a lot of reading done and I'm trying to work out every single day. I'm also going to a yoga class tonight, a virtual yoga class, so that's kind of my plan of attack. But I will come back after I work out. Bye, guys. Hi guys, Lori here. I got up to page 212 in Super Adjacent, which is where I'm going to end reading this book for the day because I am reading with my friend Jen. I'm going to say this, and I've been saying this a lot for books. I really struggle with summaries that give too much away. Like, I am 212 pages into this book. This book, according to the arc I have, is like 355 pages. If there is a plot point that is mentioned in your summary that has not happened yet, and I'm 212 pages into this book, that's a problem. And I think because it takes away some of the mystery, I think it kind of sets you up for a thought process, and then you never, like, you're always waiting for the next shoe to drop. It's the only downside of this because I know that something's massive is going to happen and it's kind of build up, but I really would not have liked to know that. I think they could have literally done that without that line in the summary and it would have been fine. So if you're going to go into this read, I don't know if it's the same summary as will be on a physical copy, just don't read it. But it's so fun. It's so cute. I love these two characters. I love how these two characters are interacting with each other. I think their dynamics are so important. Two girls that are not competing, but also, like, sharing their lives. They're such different characters. I still really do like Brigitte's character. I also like how Matt, Bridget's boyfriend, is becoming a little bit more of a character. Same thing with Joy. I'm really liking it. I also like how their parents are getting involved and also just their dynamics. I think both characters have a really interesting backstory and a really interesting dynamic. So I'm going to go take a quick shower and then I come back. I'm going to read more of The Secret Runners and hopefully get to, like, the point of that book, like the plot, and start to get some excitement because it is a little bit slow moving right now, but I hope that changes. Talk to you guys in a bit. Right here, I'm just checking back in. I did get up to page 100 or about 100 in The Secret Runners by Matthew Riley. This book is very interesting. It does a weird thing where it kind of switches perspectives midway through the book, and I think that it does that because it's more of like a thriller, and there is some information that Sky or Blue doesn't have because she's not in these situations. But you are mostly in Sky's point of view, and then there's a couple of instances where you actually switch into her twin brother's point of view. But it's a very simplistic narrative. It's very focused on, like, developing Sky's character and really figuring out what's going on. There's also a lot of, like, it's a very, very fast-paced story, and it's engaging. They also are running down the clock to an asteroid is gonna come and it may, like, destroy the world, and they don't know. And then there's also an element of another parallel universe that they're dealing with possibly, which I'm really liking. I'm curious to see how this all compels into one story. Like, I'm a little bit, like, I'm curious, like, how those two events relate to each other. Like, they're known as the Secret Runners because they do these runs in another world, but I'm not sure where the book is going or, like, what the point of it almost is. Like, are they gonna help with it or they're not? I'm a little bit confused about the plot trajectory of this book. But it is a very, very simplistic narrative. I do like New York as a background, and I like that, like, that's the kind of the world that they're in, and it's a very, very high, rich society world that I think is very, very interesting. So right now, if I had to rate it right now, I'd probably give it, like, 3 stars. I think it's a very, very simplistic thriller, but I'm liking the elements of it. I'm really liking the setting, and I think the narrative thing is interesting. It's just, like, it's like he kind of just plot drops into people's heads that I think would be helpful and have information for you. So I'm going to definitely read another 100 pages tonight. I'm probably going to try to get up to page, like, 200. And then I'm going to do some TV watching. It's about 6:13, so I'll probably read and watch stuff until, like, 8, and then I'm going to probably dive into some TV shows that I really wanted to. I was just watching a YouTube video, Reagan, and it's, especially during, like, this quarantine time, I find that it's really easy to, like, let yourself kind of, like, fall into, like, a rep of not doing anything because you don't really have any, like, plans of attack. So I'm really trying to kind of still, like, have a balance, like, reading balance, watching TV balance, work balance, and I'm really trying to get that balance in. I think that's really important. But it is a challenge because you sometimes feel like you're doing nothing. But I do want to read 100 more pages of this, and I would love to by tomorrow to have finished Super Adjacent and this book. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's my plan. But I'm going to go back to reading, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye, guys. Lori here. I'm just checking back in. I did wind up getting up to page 136 in The Secret Runners, which, according to Goodreads, is probably like 50% done. But I am liking it. I'm liking the pacing. It's not a very like it's interesting. Like I'm intrigued. Like there are like little hints being dropped, and we are still dealing with the apocalypse. But like I'm not sure like what the running does. Like that's my question. Like I know that there's like they do this run, but I'm not sure why or how that came to be. Maybe that will be fleshed out a little bit more. But I am starting to think I have one theory that I don't think is really a theory, but I have one theory about this world that they're running in and what it might mean, especially in reference to the apocalypse. But we are meeting some more characters. I like that. There's one character that we just met that I really like, and I'm curious to see if it's gonna go the romantic route. But I'm really liking it. It's definitely I haven't read a YA book like this in a while. That's just kind of like very very it's not a complicated read, I'll say that. It reminds me of like a James Patterson book or something like that, like just a very, very simple thriller, but I am liking it. Normally the thrillers I read are very, very twisty, turny, and very, very psychological. This reminds me more of like an action movie, which I do like on occasion. It's just not what I normally read. But I am liking it. I'm loving New York as a backdrop. I'm really liking it. It reminds me a little bit of The A-List when I used to read that back in the day when I was a lot younger. But I am liking it. I'm loving the twin elements. But yeah, I'm liking it. It's not my favorite, but I am liking it. And I'm happy to be reading this. It reminds me of being in New York, even though I can't go there right now. But I'm going to go back to reading, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Sorry here. I got up to page 155, and we did actually get a little bit of fleshed out of why they run and how they run, and a little bit of world building. I thought that that was super interesting. And Sky is definitely getting more involved in this world. I wish that Matthew would have stuck with the divergent perspectives in the series a little bit. We had one with her brother for like one chapter, but I actually would have liked if we would have seen this world through other characters' point of view. We also do get some illustrations throughout the book that I do like, and there's just some elements that I'm just intrigued about. Like there's little mystery elements that have been dropped, and I'm just curious to see how those play out. So I'm going to finish watching Live with Kelly and Ryan, which is my daily ritual, and then I'm going to dive into some TV, and I will check in with you guys before I do that. Bye, guys. Hi guys, I'm back. I'm just gonna wrap up reading for the evening. I did get up to page 170 in The Secret Runners. This book finally hit its climax. I'm really curious to see what happens next. I now know the connection, which is kind of what I predicted, but I'm really curious to see how this book winds up and how they're gonna go about trying to deal with the apocalypse or the potential apocalypse in their own time. I think that that's really interesting. This is like a really interesting time to be reading it. I'll say that. Like, this is maybe not a book I would recommend reading during the current worldview, but I'm kind of into the book now, and I do like the pacing. I think it's a very, very fast-paced read. One that's very, very thriller heavy, very, very actiony. Not a lot of character development, very, very little. The characters are kind of the chess pieces on a board, but I am liking it. I will definitely wind up reading 5 more chapters of Super Jason tomorrow, and hopefully reading at least another 100 pages of this tomorrow. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna go watch some Lock and Key. Bye, guys. Hey, it's Lori here. It is Friday night, April 3rd, and I actually am here to wrap up this reading vlog. I did wind up reading about to page 216 in Super Jason, and I read to about page 100 and The Secret Runners, but I do want to do a weekend reading vlog for you guys and take you guys along on my weekend in quarantine and what I do. I'm also a teacher, so you might see some teacher prep. But yeah, I just wanted to wrap up this reading vlog and thank you guys for watching. I know that this is kind of a scary time, but I hope my content at least gives you, if not anything else, than some book recommendations, which I think we all need. But I'm going to wrap this up and go start my next reading vlog for the weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later, and stay safe, guys. Bye. Also, tell me in the comments, what are some books that you have been gravitating towards? What are some things you've been gravitating towards? It may not just be reading. I have been watching a lot of TV. I'll talk about that in my next reading vlog too, but just stay safe, guys, and I'll see you guys for my next reading vlog. Bye.